Well, it denied me all of the things that money can buy. Even then, there were the haves and the have-nots, like there always have been. And we were a have-not, but we never considered ourselves poor. We never went hungry. He reverted back to his farm days, and he rented the property that I grew up on. He paid a whole $10 a month every month. I was born 3 years into the Depression, so I grew up in the Depression years. 61 acres, wooded though, all wooded. So it was a mini farm, it was a dairy farm. It was. He fenced a lot of the property and let the cows run or pasture in the field. And he bought hay in the wintertime to feed them. That was just milk and butter and so on, and eggs with chickens and things like that. Didn't raise a cash crop. He always worked outside of the home. He was he settled into the sheet metal business. He liked to put in furnaces and do all the duct work and so on. There was lots of work in those days.
I bet with heat.
With the heat just coming in. Yeah. He worked under or with the hardware store man in Wheeling, Illinois. The man would sell the furnace, and my dad would go out and install it. And then he'd talk to the people that owned the home, and he'd put the gutters and stuff on their houses too. Reading, listening to the radio. I knew every action program on radio. Jack Armstrong, Lone Ranger, Captain Midnight, all very good friends of mine. Very good friends of mine. And you would hate to miss an episode, and just like you'd hate to miss your favorite television program. It was just as important, just as.
So the radio was on your radio.
Yeah. Well, of course, this was after electricity again.
Yeah.
But I was 2.
But you were 2.
I was 2 when I moved in 32, and in 36 I was only 6 years old. So I didn't feel unprivileged or that's how it was. That's how everybody had it. So. But when I was 6 or 7, I was about old enough to turn it on myself and find the station and so on. So it was my little world after school for a couple hours anyhow, probably. I listened to one of them. I don't know which one it was, but she had a favorite too. Yeah. And of course, then after dinner, my dad would take over and listen to the news or whatever he wanted to listen to. We didn't play a lot of music. It was a lot of verbal, a lot of spoken communication and storytelling and so on. Yeah. Comfort level that you'd go out of the house and you didn't have to worry about staying in your yard or being safe. And where you went, you were safe everywhere. And I would very often leave home in the morning. My mother would tell me what time to be home, and I would be free to wander the countryside with my 3 friends. I would always tell her where I was going and so on, but and she had a telephone. We had telephone service at that time. But she never worried about me. I was home when she told me to be home for dinner or whatever it was. And it was just it was a very nice atmosphere to raise children in. Oh golly, all kinds of things. Not really any devilment really. We built a tree house and out of tree branches and spent I don't know how many weeks doing that. And then I was going to my bus stop was up in the corner about a half a mile away. One day I decided I was going to dig a tunnel so I wouldn't have to walk outside in the snow in the wintertime. Of course, I got that tunnel down about 3 foot. That's as far as I got with that tunnel. But it kept me busy for a few days, My dad eventually filled it back in, and that was the end of the tunnel. 2 friends across the street. Was my closest friend, or nearest friend, and his name was Teddy Ham. He ended up on the police force in Highland Park, where we went to high school. He went to high school. We all went to high school there too. He married one of our classmates, Terry Varoni. In fact, Carl Hout, the guy I play golf with now, was in we didn't go to the same grade school, but we knew each other through scouting from Deerfield. Then we went through high school together.
You're still friends today?
Yeah, we're still friends. Bill Barsh was a close friend. He's dead. John Peterson probably is dead. Teddy Ham, I have no knowledge of where he went from the police force. I think he divorced his wife or vice versa. Well, I was not real comfortable around girls. I didn't grow up with any. The only ones I grew up with was Connie Miller at a farm down the street a little bit, and I would throw apples at her, I guess.
So you were a natural Romeo.
Oh yeah. Her older sister liked me, and I didn't particularly care for her, and I liked her younger sister, Connie, and Connie didn't care for me, so it was it was a mess.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
So, Connie liked Johnny Peterson, that was my other friend. You win some, you lose some, The imagination and the ability to take care of myself, to amuse myself and my friends. We played a lot of baseball and things like that, football. Both a Boy Scout and we went to summer camp, or I went to summer camp about 3 years in a row. I earned my Eagle rank, and after I had graduated or hit the top rank in scouting, I became an assistant scoutmaster. So I got a little older. So I stayed in scouting until I was 17, 18, somewhere in there. We went to Air Scouts, Senior Scouts, Air Scouts, built and flew model airplanes, radio-controlled model airplanes. And Carl Hout was in Air Scouts too. He and his brother used to build some very elaborate models. Summers were spent at Boy Scout camp, and I worked there too as a counselor after a couple of years as a camper. I worked as a counselor. So it was that took the summer. When you go to camp, we went in 2-week intervals. But when you're a counselor, you go for the summer. You go for 4 or 5 2-week intervals. I don't think it was 4 or 5. I think maybe three 2-week intervals. So that took up the summer pretty much.
Yeah, that's
And then I had my car. I was working on it. That's why it took me 2 years to get those brakes on my car, because I was busy in the good months where you could work on it outside. Of course, it was jacked up on blocks outside, so that's where I was working all the time. And then I go away to the Boy Scout camp, and I didn't get the chance to work on my car. I just never could get the priorities straight.
Girls?
Well, with a car would come girls, and things like that. And here I was.
You couldn't get your brakes on.
I couldn't get my brakes fixed. Of course, I'd borrow my folks' car once in a while.
All right.
I went to a turnabout dance with a girl named Regina Worth, and she backed out my driveway and right straight across into the ditch on the other side. And we spent the date getting her car out of the ditch. Remember that well.
Why was she driving?
It was
Your brakes.
well, it was a turnabout dance.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
See, she took me out. See?
Well, at least she did. Good thing you didn't get to marry Regina.
Yeah, I wasn't really real fond of her to begin with, and then after she backed across into the ditch, I didn't have much use for her. That was a bad night. Yeah.
You didn't get along with Regina.
Well, we got along, but I mean,
Wasn't
no attraction.
true.